Good morning and welcome back to the Live Performance Kitchen. How are you all? Can you believe we have snow in April? I know, you can, I know. And of course, I said we were doing salads this week. So hello, I can see you coming in. Some of you are so on time and punctual. Hey Gemma, hey Jilly, all my usuals back in. Hey Kim, lovely to see you all. Hey Elaine, how are you? Waves back to everyone. Well, welcome Gaz. We're doing a butter bowl. What is a butter bowl? Well, a butter bowl effectively is called a butter bowl because it's the shape of a butter's belly. So we have a bowl and at the end we're going to create this wonderful mound of fabulous food with you this morning. Traditionally it's a vegan or vegetarian dish, but I'm going to give loads of options of all your sort of meats and fishes you can have with a butter bowl because we're obviously very versatile in my kitchen. You know I like variety. We're using sort of Eastern grains and all amazing whole foods. So basically it's really, really good for you. It's really tasty and it's all roasted and lovely. So even though the weather's sort of cold outside, we still want to eat good foods. And this is like a healthy, warming salad, okay? We've got lots of cooking to do, so I'm going to get started. Those of you cooking with me, we are roasting today, so the oven has to be on quite high. I'd like it around 425 to 475 if you can. That's your maximum in terms of gas mark and Celsius. Okay? Now, we're roasting up some of our fabulous vegetables. I have gone for butternut squash. Now, I've said butternut squash or sweet potato. It's basically because I love the colour and I'm going to talk you through all the benefits of this in a second. We're going to tip them into a baking tray. Voila. And then, little top tip, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of coconut oil in. We know that we like to use coconut oil because it stays a healthy fat even at super high temperatures. And actually it's a really nice flavour with the butternut squash or the sweet potato as well. I don't use very much, we don't need very much. I'm using a teaspoon. And I just tip that on top. It will melt all over them, don't worry. It just saves lifting in boiling hot fat and then adding things in and spitting and spraying everywhere. Okay, I'm thinking of you guys, okay? Now, you can just leave it like that, but you know I won't do. And I know in my recipe card, I've been a bit wishy-washy with all the different flavors, so I want to talk you through a few options here. I'm going to add to my sweet potato and to my onions, which I'm doing in a moment, some sweet paprika and some nigella seeds, okay? They taste wonderful. I'm going to add a sort of teaspoon amount of the sweet paprika and these wonderful, wonderful little black beads here. Look at the colour of those. How amazing. Packed with antioxidants, packed with all your little vitamins and minerals that we can't get. Sprinkle them on top. Okay, they're going straight into my oven, really hot. Top shelf, please. Right, next we have got the onions, okay? Now I'm using one red onion because it's got more benefits than the white version. So as I say, whenever you're in your fruit and veg, please pick the strongest colour of whatever vegetable or fruit you're going for. So if it's an apple, please choose the reddest of the red. If it's an onion, please choose the reddest of the red rather than the white version because they've got more benefits and they taste equally good, if not better. Okay, I'm going to cut this into about 8 pieces and we're going to roast that up again with the sweet paprika and the nigella. Now, obviously, if you don't like sweet paprika, please don't use sweet paprika. We've got loads of different varieties of different herbs and spices that we can throw onto vegetables when we roast them, or we can just roast them plain. But I like to have fun, as you know. Right, let's tip that in. Again, a scant amount, like half a teaspoon of coconut oil. I use sometimes just roast these dry, but I'm showing a little bit of willing. And coconut oil has benefits, of course, so I don't mind using a tiny amount. And there's my sweet paprika. Let's just sprinkle the rest of that over then. And my fabulous little nigella seeds. Again, you can go for it really, but I go for about a teaspoon there. Straight away, put them in. Now, the last thing that we're roasting today, we could have done these on the hob, but you know what I'm like if something's behind me, it stresses the technical team out and then they all wave at me. So we're going to put these, they're laughing at me. We're going to put these into the oven as well. Now, this is a saucepan that I can put in the oven, so some of you will have something like this, or otherwise just another baking tray. And it's chickpeas, okay? Chickpeas, you can get them dry and then you have to sort of soak them overnight for you purists, and I absolutely take my hat off to you all. I've just gone for the tin version. Just give them a quick drain in your colander, like so, just to get rid of that liquid. That liquid, one for another week, we can use to make meringues. Some of you will already know this, some of you will be thinking, what? Yes, it's a vegan version of a meringue, and we use the chickpea juice. It takes a little bit more whisking and it makes amazing meringues. So we'll do that one week because it's great fun. Okay, so they're just going to go in your baking tray or your oven-proof dish. Thank you for the likes on this chickpea. Some of you vegans out there will know about it, but actually it's really good for all of us. And actually, why would we throw away chickpea water like I've just done? Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to use on my chickpeas, as is on the recipe card, but again, have fun if you have different flavours and spices you want. I'm going to go for a teaspoon of cumin, straight over them, a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now you can use normal garlic. Garlic powder is fine on this. If you want, if you've got garlic in your fridge and you want to use it, use garlic there. 2 cloves would be the equivalent of a teaspoon of that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of heat to warm us up on a day like today, my crushed chilli. Just like that. And that's a teaspoon. Okay, give them a little mix round. I'm dry roasting these, by the way, so we're not using the coconut oil on these. We want them to be like crispy, crunchy, almost like nuts when they come out. They're amazing. Okay, straight into the oven. Right, now, next, quinoa. I love quinoa. Quinoa is basically a superfood. It's a protein, massively high in protein, full of your essential amino acids. So there's 9 essential amino acids. Really hard for people who are vegan and vegetarian to get them all in one food item, and quinoa is a perfect example of one you can. I'm going to use, they do really fancy ones now, I'm going to use the white, red and black quinoa. Obviously, if you've just got your standard quinoa, it's great. But because I always say, if you can get a darker colour or something, choose it. There will be other additional benefits of the red and the black. So if you see it, the multicoloured version, it also looks super pretty, then get that. We're going to put it into a saucepan. I've got one about yay big. Okay? And just tip in your 100 grams. And to that, we use just over twice as much water. So it's 3 times, 300 grams or mils of water. Grams and mils weigh the same. So if you're on your weighing scales now thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to put it on mils. Don't worry, they weigh the same. You can weigh them in grams. In it goes. And then, this is optional, but because quinoa doesn't really have a flavour, it sort of absorbs the flavours you put round it. I add a vegetable stock to mine. Please, if you're going to use a vegetable stock, they are not all made equally. So please try and choose one that appears, or certainly if you look at the ingredients, better than some of the ones that are just basically blocks of salt. So I go for, I don't mind, a little bit of Knorr. These are these little gels. If I show you just how they go in, and they're quite good, you know, they've not got too much baddies in them, they're mainly just a vegetable stock. And if you want to make your own, brilliant, and then put them in ice cubes and freeze. Right, that's going onto a hob. We're going to boil it, bring it to boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Right, okay, who's going to remind me in about 2 minutes that will be boiling and I have to simmer it down? They're all nodding at me, perfect. Okay, so what are we doing next? Well, when we're preparing a butter bowl, it's about building all of our fabulous ingredients that we're using in it. And I love variety. I'm all one for not wanting the same meal every time. I get bored by food. I always have to change things up. Butter bowls means you can basically put what you want in, swap things out. I couldn't add every single option on the recipe card, but I have made quite a few options today to show you. So I think what we ought to do, now we've got everything that needs to be cooked on the go, let's start building and let's start showing you some of these ingredients and why they're good for you. In terms of the bowl you use, individual is how a traditional butter bowl is served. So if you have a sort of soup bowl, or if you have a really funky like big cereal bowl, perfect. Or you can make this for in the middle of the table, so you can go for a really super-sized butter bowl for a family, or maybe one about this size, which would be for like 2 people. Or if you're feeling super hungry, clearly 1 person, okay? Not judging, not judging. Now, the first thing we do on this is we put down our salad leaves. So again, talk to you about this all the time. As long as you don't choose iceberg, okay, because iceberg is just water, which is fine for our hydration, but we can drink a glass of water for that. I want you to pick the darkest, most loveliest salad leaves you can see in your greengrocer or in your supermarket or from your garden if you're growing your own salad leaves. So I've gone for rocket. I love a bit of pepperiness, so I have a lovely little bowl of rocket there. And I've gone for like the beetroot and chard and all of that. Again, just dark leafy greens. Young leaf to spinach is perfect. Anything like that. Have fun. Try different varieties you've not tried before. Some are dead peppery. I am not going to do it now, but I just want to say what I sometimes do. Those of you that came in and watched me doing my beetroot hummus and my pesto week, and you saw I made my salads, and going on with putting some hummus on the bottom and some pesto on the bottom, you can do it with your butter bowl, and it's amazing. So if you want, and you've got some hummus in your fridge, or you want to make some with some chickpeas, just pour some in the bottom now, and then add your salad leaves on top. Okay, I'm being asked to check because my quinoa is boiling, so thank you. I'm going to just put a lid on that now. Okay, so now that's come to the boil, we're just going to let it simmer on a low heat. Cover it if you have a lid with you for your pan or a bowl or whatever, and then we're just going to let that simmer now for about 10 minutes. Okay, so back to building my bowl. So if you want to do that, have fun. I'm going to pop in to the bottom a generous amount of those 2 leaves, okay, and that's like the bed of my butter bowl. Okay, we eat with our eyes, so make sure it all looks really pretty and even. Now, the avocado is apparently a must in every butter bowl. If you don't eat avocado, that's fine, leave it out. If you've never tried avocado before, it's one of the healthiest forms of fats we can get. It's an unsaturated fat. It's a healthy fat. It's packed with all your essential fatty acids, which are really important for our skin, for our metabolism. They do loads of things. Fat gets a bad press. I'm not a fan of saturated fats. I'm not a fan of fried food, but I am a fan of avocado, oily fish like salmon, nuts, nut butters. They're brilliant. We can tell the difference between athletes who don't have them and athletes who do. So please don't leave them out of your diet. So avocado, let me cut it open. I'm going to show you how to actually cut open an avocado and take away the stone. Please try and get a ripe one for this. If you want, supermarkets are going to hate this, but if you want to know, just give them a little squeeze, and if there's less resistance, it means they're ripe, or else leave them in your fruit bowl for a week. So, perfectly ripe avocado. I think one of the #1 causes of visits to A&E 2 years ago when avocados took off was people cutting their hands, taking the stone out. So if you're going to do it this way, can you use something to protect your hands? So tea towel, fold it over at least 2 or 3 times, put the avocado in your hand, and then using a knife, just tap the stone and it will come out, okay? Can you get rid of those stones straight away? Okay, I've got a dog, and apparently these are the #1 causes of dogs choking. So they need to go straight into your bin. Okay, and then we're left with these amazing avocado halves, okay? Use something like that size of spoon, something that's about the same shape as your avocado. And don't be shy. Get right against the skin, push really hard against the skin, and literally peel it away from the base. Like so. And then we have half an avocado. Now, if we put it down on our chopping board and we use a super sharp knife, we should be able to create nice, even slices of avocado. You can just put this on like that, which is what I'm going to do. You can jazz it up with some lime juice that you can sort of squeeze over it, a little bit of salt and pepper just to bring out the flavour. But we've got loads of flavours going on today, so I'm just going to add prettily. Now, again, this is the butter bowl. So we're just going to stack it into one corner. You can create what you like, be as inventive as you like, but traditionally things appear in various areas of a butter bowl. So I'm going to just put that half like that. Okay, so there's my avocado done. Now, what else have I prepared? I got a bit busy in the kitchen this morning. I'm a massive fan of my greens, okay? So I picked broccolini, or the sort of tender stem broccoli that you can find in the supermarket, asparagus and courgettes. And all I did was I left them whole, the broccolini and the asparagus. I sliced the courgettes into strips approximately, say, 4 or 5 millimeters deep, and I painted them with some of the pesto I made with you guys a few weeks ago. So I stored it in my fridge, as you know, and I just got my little pastry brush and I painted it, and then I put it under the grill and left it for a few minutes, turned it, again a few minutes, and then I've left it to go to room temperature. Perfect pesto flavour, and again, you can make a red pesto, or you can use different types of marinades for it, but really, really good. So I'm just going to pop some of them into my bowl. Now, we've currently got everything green, and I always talk to you about a rainbow plate, so we need loads of different colours, so we know we've got all of our micronutrients. Let's be generous and put lots of those asparagus and broccoli in. Broccoli, as you know, is a superfood. Broccoli has literally got so many benefits for us. Iron, for those of you who are iron depleted, we know iron is a sport-induced depletion of iron, not only because we lose it in our sweat, but because we lose it in our heel strike. So if you heel strike regularly, which obviously you runners do, you're going to lose more iron than a sedate person or somebody who doesn't run as frequently as you. So we need to make sure that we're eating iron regularly and that we're replacing it regularly. The other benefit of this recipe is we know now, because I tell you all the time, that in order to take up the iron in food, or certainly in non-meat food, non-hemi food, we need a vitamin C supply. So I've made sure we've got lots of lemon juice going onto the dressing, okay? So that's really, really important. Now, what else have I done to go onto this? I've roasted up some of these pine nuts. So I did say you can toast them. If you don't like them toasted, or if you prefer your nuts without, you know, obviously toasting, then don't toast them, but I pre-toasted mine. We're gonna add half of that to the quinoa, along with some of the bean sprouts, and then we're gonna use some to garnish. What I'll do with you now, I'm going to turn on my pan, and we're gonna fry up, I've got on the recipe card, bean sprouts. There's always some form of a sprout or a cress or something in a butter bowl. We don't use bean sprouts very often in the UK. They're absolutely brilliant, and they're full of loads of different antioxidants, loads of different benefits. You can't eat them raw, okay? So please, I know it's tempting, they look like the sort of thing that you could just toss on the top, but please don't. There is a risk of you getting food poisoning, so it's really important. They don't need much heating, they don't need much time in a frying pan, but please don't have them raw. Now, I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of coconut oil, and we're gonna flash fry these. So let's pop a little bit of that coconut oil into my super hot saucepan. If you've got woks, of course, use your woks. I'm very happy with that. And then in go the bean sprouts, okay? Even them out, and on they go. Right, shall we have a look what's happening in my oven? So they're looking amazing. Obviously, the bigger you've got your butternut squash pieces, the longer they're going to take to cook. The onion is almost ready now. Okay, that takes less time to cook, and the chickpeas are similar. But just while we're building the rest of it, we'll leave them in. Right, okay. I did some quinoa earlier on so that I can add all these things in now for you. So when we finish with our quinoa, it looks like this. Really, really similar to couscous, which some of you may have cooked with before, but much, much higher in protein. So if I can ask you to do one swap out today, you know I love my swap outs, can you swap out couscous and add in quinoa? Quinoa has a really low GI, which means that it is going to keep your blood sugar levels nice and even, okay, which is exactly what runners need. So it'll keep you well fueled from the carbohydrate, really low GI, so it's not going to give you peaks and troughs, really high in protein, so it's really good in recovery to look after your muscles, full of nutrient benefits, tastes amazing. Okay, to it, half of those toasted pine nuts, about a scant handful, just throw them in. You can put whatever you want into this. I'm going to go with half the bean sprouts and half of my pine nuts, okay? Let's have a look at those bean sprouts. Give them a quick stir. They really don't take long. They literally need about a minute to 2 minutes in a super hot wok or frying pan. edamame beans. Who's tried edamame beans? They're absolutely brilliant for a protein. They're obviously vegan and vegetarian friendly. They taste amazing, particularly in salads, and we don't eat them enough. You can buy them, you can get them in all sorts of things, you can soak them, etc. You can get them in tins, or you can buy them fresh nowadays in most of your supermarkets in the fruit and veg section. So there is like a tub version, I think it's about 125 grams. We're going to use about half of that. You could use all of it. They're really, really, really good for you. So here we go, bean sprouts are ready. Let's put half of those into the quinoa, along with the toasted pancakes, and just give them a little stir through. There's loads of different things you can add to this. If you love carrots, grate some carrots, either add it to the quinoa towards the end of cooking, or add it in when it's warm, you finish cooking raw, and it just sort of takes the rawness off a grated carrot, so you get this lovely like caramelized, sweet, carroty taste throughout it. That's another really good one with quinoa. Okay, that is ready. If you want to taste a bit, to see if you want to season it with a teeny weeny bit of salt and as much pepper as you want, be my guest. Because I've used that vegetable stock and because I cook this all the time, I don't need to. I know I'm happy with it as it is. But that's the time to season. Please season your food at the very, very end when you've added all the ingredients, because we in this country, we have far too much salt in our diet. It is so bad for us. We just got to get used to little tiny changes, and then over a longer period of time, it makes a huge difference. So please, everybody, thank you for the hearts. Try and not add salt to your food, okay? Right, let's put a nice generous portion of that into my butter bowl. I'll hold it up for you in a minute, and we can see a nice mound of the butter bowl with the bean sprouts. Okay, so you can just see it as we're creating now. Now I want some colour. So where are those red onions? My red onions are looking fantastic. They smell amazing. Those of you cooking with me, I hope you agree. I love onions when they've been caramelised and roasted. Really brings out the sweetness in them. So, they're so nice against all of the colours and the flavours that we've got so far. They're amazing with like avocado. They've just got a totally different flavour, texture. Talk all the time that we eat with our eyes, but our brain likes different textures to feel full. So if we just fed it porridge all day, you would never feel fully satisfied. The brain would be looking for crunch. It would be looking for different texture. So it's really important that we add different textures to every meal so that our brain quickly tells our stomach when we're full. Okay, so think about that as well when you're building your butter bowl. Right, I'm going to add that in beside the couscous. I'm adding it all in, and I'm going to tip it in those amazing little Nigella seeds, which not only packed with all the little antioxidant and micronutrient goodies, but they add that amazing colour. So you can see the contrast in the two colours there. Now, we have got to now add our butternut squash. I'm going to take mine out because they're ready. The way to find out whether they're ready is to get yourself either a wooden skewer or a metal skewer and just poke the middle. And if there's not too much resistance, they're done. If they're not, give them a bit longer. Because of how hot those ones are, I'm going to use the ones that I made earlier on, okay? So they're nice, they're cool down to room temperature. If you're having it straight away and you like everything hot, go for it. Otherwise, you can cool these ingredients down to room temperature and then build them together. I love the colour of butternut squash. So let's put some of those in there. I'm leaving an obvious gap for my last key ingredient. Okay, and we can start to see the swelling of the butter's belly there. Okay, so look at all those amazing colours. Now we know, now our brain's telling us this is doing us good. We're going to have all of the goodies we need. All the macronutrients are covered. Our carbohydrates are covered with the vegetables and with the quinoa. We've got all the macronutrients from all of these incredible vegetables. Our brain's happy because we've got all the different crunch, etc. But we haven't yet put in the chickpeas. Let me lift them out. Okay, so my chickpeas are beautifully roasted. I know I've got asbestos hands, please don't do this at home. They feel like little nuts, really, really crunchy and gorgeous. Again, they're super, super hot. And of course, because it's you guys, I prepared some earlier. So, These are actually great, top tip, if you've got people coming over when you're allowed, just for like nibbles rather than like nuts maybe, is just to roast these up, let them come to room temperature in your oven tray, put them in a serving dish and have them with drinks when people arrive. They're lovely. But today, I'm going to add them to the butter bowl. Okay, how good does that look so far? I want to eat it now. Okay, so we've literally filled our butter bowl. We're not quite finished yet, but you can sort of see why it's called a butter bowl now. How amazing would that be on your dinner table this evening or as a lunch? What else have I got? Okay, let's go with the edamame beans. So we're going to sprinkle some edamame beans onto this. I don't know where I'm going to put them. This is the fun when you get to the end. I'm going to put them sort of like in the middle because they're like this gorgeous like lime green colour. Can you see? You can have fun. Those of you who are artists out there, you know, you can have fun with this and let me know, show me your photographs afterwards of your pretty butter bowls. Okay, what else have I got to put on here? Last few ingredients going on. I'm going to cover it with those amazing toasted pine nuts. And then the very last thing I'm going to do is the dressing with you. Traditionally, butter bowls are vegan or vegetarian. So the ideal thing now would be to pan fry up some of the tofu cubes you can get out there or other vegan sort of tempers, things like that. Fry them up and pop them on the top. However, I'll have this with halloumi maybe, or if you like salmon, then pan fry yourself a piece of wild salmon. If you can get wild salmon, it's got far more omega-3 in it. Or of course, maybe some chicken, which you can just either pan fry or roast up. Perfect, just slice it and pop them on the top. You can do any dressing you like, okay? If you like your pesto, for example, and you've made that with me and you think that's fabulous, use your pesto dressing. If you need to add a bit more olive oil to make it drizzly, do that. I'm going, because it's Eastern and because I love tahini, I'm going to do a tahini dressing with you. Tahini itself, we've gone through this, thank you for the hearts, everybody's in love with tahini. It's basically ground sesame seeds. So it's packed with goodness, that's all it is. I'm loving all these hearts. Okay, can I give you a top tip when we're doing a dressing? I hope you don't mind, because I could get out all the fancy stuff and make it all really fancy. Who could care? I'm using a little jar, a little jam jar that I've got. I'm going to put that on my weighing scale, and I'm going to weigh in 85 grams, or for those of you that want to not use a weighing scale, it's about 5 tablespoons of butter. 5 tablespoons of butter? Where did that even come from? 5 tablespoons of tahini. Okay, in it goes. So there is your 80 grams, or around 5 tablespoons of tahini. To that, I've said 2 to 3 tablespoons of warm water. That's just to thin it down because we're using this as a dressing. Pour that straight in. To that, 1 lemon juiced. Okay, look at that lemon juice. Isn't that brilliant? I juiced that about half an hour ago. I love that. Pour that straight in. Okay, there's your vitamin C, by the way, to get all the iron out of those green vegetables we have. It's going to literally allow your body to break down and take on board the iron. The last ingredient is our maple syrup. So 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. It's not a lot. Those of you that don't like maple syrup, you can use honey in this, or you can leave it as it is. But I'm going to use a tablespoon of maple syrup. It really brings out all the different flavours. So there's my tablespoon bit, and it goes. If you can't be bothered, just give it a little slug. But I am. Right, now screw this on tight. Screw this on really tight, okay? And then just give it a little shake. Takes a few seconds. Brilliant, okay? Thank you for the hearts, everyone. Right, I've got to taste this. So appetizing. I love it. If at this point you go, needs a bit of salt, add some salt. But please just try it first. Now, what you can do, mine probably needs a little bit more water. So those of you that are happy with your consistency, great. I'm going to add a tiny bit more water to mine, just to thin it down. You can do tahini paste and loads of different things. And obviously, just give it another shake until you get the right consistency. You can add more lemon, you can add lime juice to it, you can have fun, you can add orange juice to this. For certain dishes, it's really good with orange juice, and then you probably don't need the maple. Right, that's about right. Okay, let me get a nice spoon, and let's just pour some of that, drizzle it all over the top. Okay, You can have as much of this as you want. I'm just adding a little bit to the top there. Take it to the table, the rest of the tahini. I've got to do this. You know what I'm like. If I had pomegranate, I'd add some pomegranate now. I don't. I have got Nigella seeds. If I had craisins, no, I wouldn't. Well, actually, I would. You know, I'm a big fan of my craisins. Right. How's that? Are we happy? Got a question?
Could add soy sauce.
Soy sauce, yeah. So if you want to use soy sauce, of course, that's quite salty. So are you thinking of adding it to the tahini, or are you thinking of doing a soy sauce dressing? Either would work. We do a lot of stir fries here, and I do a dressing which is equal parts of soy sauce and rice wine vinegar, and then a third less of fish sauce, and then loads of fresh ginger, loads of fresh garlic. Shake it up, and I use that like as a marinade or in a stir fry. Equally, if you want it, if you like those flavours, it would work really well. So yeah, perfect example there. There's my butter bowl. I'll be eating that later on. I'm going to have mine with some fish, which I've marinated in like a Thai sort of like flavourings. But please let me know how you get on with yours. I'd love to see some photographs. I'd love to hear what you had it with. This is a perfect lunch. It's the perfect accompaniment with a vegan or a fish or a meat option as an evening meal. It's packed with all of your benefits. It's brilliant in recovery. So if you've run hard all day, this is what your body's asking for when you come back in after a hard day's run, after a hard day's workout or a competition, whatever you've done. Pick a butter bowl. It's perfect this time of year. Enjoy your rest of your weekend. I'll come back with something sweet for you all next week. I'm not sure. Chickpea pavlova might be a little bit ambitious. I'll look at my recipe and see how we get on. But something like that, we'll do something sweet just to balance my sweet and savouries. Thank you so much for all your lovely comments. Thank you for the amazing... So we've got another question. Go on then.
Where is the recipe card?
The recipe cards, they're actually on the Running Bear website. Now, I know this has caused some confusion, so we'll get to that because I know a lot of you. It did come as a post yesterday, and it was a post on my website as well. But I tell you what I'll do. I'll upload this now to IGTV, and then I'll go on and I'll upload the recipe card for you guys again, so you've all got it. So you're all dead keen to make it now, aren't you? Okay, let me go and put the recipe card back on for you now, and you can all start enjoying the cooking straight away. Thanks, everyone. Any more questions before I start the cleanup? You all happy? Okay, thank you so much for joining me. I'm back next week. Have a lovely, lovely week. Take care. Bye-bye.